Garcia. Remember, there's two things going on here. There's kind of the civil, injunctive, constitutional violation case. That's the one taking place in Maryland before Judge Midas and in federal court. She's the one who originally ordered to facilitate his return after he was sent to the El Salvador CCOT, the terrorist concentration camp or detention center, however you want to refer to it as. And then ultimately the Supreme Court agreed with the federal judge to facilitate the return. He was returned, but then he was returned to the Middle District of Tennessee, where he was federally prosecuted by Trump's DOJ based on a traffic stop that happened 4 or 5 years ago, where the Trump regime alleged he was driving with other migrants in a vehicle and that he was transporting them from different work sites, which the Trump regime tries to claim is human trafficking. He was never arrested at that stop. There was no arrest made. The highway patrol officer asked questions, let him off, and that's basically the extent of it. But they are trying to charge him based on that traffic stop, and it's been an utter disaster, the prosecution that's been taking place in the Middle District of Tennessee. And I can tell you how it's a disaster, because rather than try to actually bring the case to a trial, the Trump regime has been trying to deport Abrego to various African nations that he has no attachment to, and they've been lying to both the federal judge in Tennessee as well as the federal judge in Maryland that Costa Rica refuses to take Abrego, and Costa Rica officially said, no, we'll take him, we're happy to take him. And every time witnesses from the DOJ are called to testify at both proceedings, the DOJ ends up sending like very low-level people who have no clue about the case, and like the evidence has...
So I'm going to pause that for a minute. Look at the glee on this man's face. He's supposed to be an American. But he and Popek, they have wives that they married to stay in the country and kids by them. So they're very biased. But putting that aside, for these two to be attorneys and want to follow the rule of law, they are so gleeful that that the judges are ruling against Trump. They have forgotten their oath that they took to defend and uphold the laws of this country. There's nothing about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. They don't even call him Kilmar because it sounds too much like killer. So they skip that the majority of the time. But this man came into the country illegally. That part. While he was here, he had a hearing. That part. He lost his hearing. So having a hearing is called due process. When you lose, you get to have more due process. You get to appeal. He appealed, he lost. So because Trump and his administration are a bunch of fuck-ups, it does not mean that they're not right, that Kilmar Abrego Garcia should not be in the United States. Having lost his appeal, in 2019, he decided to stay and beat his wife not once, but twice. That is recorded. Because everybody that's an adult realizes that once a man starts beating your ass, he ain't gonna stop. Why? What is the recourse? My issue with these two is they are now saying, because I said this before, he is eventually going to sue the government, and American citizens are going to have to pay a millions and millions of dollar lawsuit because of the clown that's in the White House, who shouldn't be in the White House. But y'all put him there, so don't complain that Donald Trump is the president, and he wants these illegal people out. They are now, these two here, espousing how happy and gleeful they are doing it. That Kilmar has a lawsuit against the United States for wrongful prosecution. That's criminal. So that all of these charges, they can get thrown out. I made this video because even if they do throw out all the charges, the man still had due process, and he was told he couldn't stay here. Then he appealed, and then that was thrown out, and he just stayed anyway. What about that? So now, he's going to be able to sue because he came here illegally, lost his asylum, and yes, Trump should have sent him to a different country. But it doesn't matter what country you send this man to. At this point, whatever country will accept him will accept him. But at this point, these two are very happy that he now is going to be able to get his immigration charges thrown out. So don't talk about Trump being corrupt when the fuck you and your people are corrupt, because you want people to stay in this country that don't belong here. Midas touch is a sham. They're not for Americans.
They need protection because of their treating them. So they created all the issues too, Popek.
So earlier, so you don't need to say.
Of course you do.